how Kanan manipulated his enemies in power. And here we are again with episode 2 of breaking down characters from Power. Now, we got a real good response from the How Ghost Won the Game of Power video, and I mentioned in that video to let me know if I should continue it, and since its release I've been bombarded with emails, comments and Instagram DMs about a part 2, so here it is. Now again, I just want to reiterate, this is an entrepreneurship channel. The things I'm going to cover are going to be in relevance to how us entrepreneurs can use certain character traits to help us with our business. And again, remember, this show is fiction. There's obviously things that are implemented into characters in the show to increase the levels of tension and drama in order to give the viewer the highest form of entertainment. So like usual, take everything with a pinch of salt. Now, the character we're going to be covering in this episode is Kanan Stark, the street thug and mentor to Ghost and Tommy. And he is personally one of my favourite characters. Main reason being is that, yeah, he is a street thug, but he is not to be underestimated in terms of being a great strategist, especially against his own enemies. The way this is showcased in the show is by Kanan playing chess in the show. This is a metaphor for how Kanan thinks, and for the whole show really. The whole show is based on the game of chess, going against your enemy and always trying to be 3 moves ahead of them without them even knowing. Now again, I'll be using 50 Cent and Robert Greene's books as reference to break down the character traits in terms of power, war and human nature. And the premise of this video is about your enemies. In business, if you don't have enemies or competition, then you're not really in a business, to be fair. Now, as much as it may seem just to go and declare war and go to battle up front with your competition, the strategy and concepts I'm going to cover in this video may change your mind about that. All entrepreneurs and businesses go to war at some point, but if you ask any military general, the whole goal of war is to ultimately crush your enemy with as minimal loss to your army as possible. Imagine going to war with a business and you beat them by undercutting your prices. They can't afford to put their prices as low as you, so they close down and you wipe them out. Hooray for you. But now your business is no longer profitable and you can't raise prices because you built your business on being the cheapest in the marketplace. And if you do rise the prices, then this will cause you to ruin your relationship with the customers. They will disown you and not continue to do business with you. So the concept of beating your competition is a lot more complicated than you may have originally thought. But don't worry, I'm going to cover some strategies that you can use to beat your competition. And we're going to use Kanan from Power for that example. And the laws we're going to refer to for Kanan is the 3rd law of power and the 31st strategy of war. So let's go to the 3rd law of power, concealing your intentions. Keep people off balance and in the dark by never revealing the true purpose behind your actions. If they have no clue what you're up to, they cannot prepare a defense. Guide them far enough down the wrong path, envelope them in enough smoke, and by the time they realize your intentions, it will already be too late. Now, at the beginning of the show, we see that Kanan is in jail and it is portrayed that he is still Ghost and Tommy's friend. But later on, we find out that Kanan is actually plotting against Ghost and Tommy in order to take back the drug business, as he finds out that Ghost and his wife Tasha are the ones that set him up to go to jail, making them his enemy. Now, Kanan performs this law to the T. After hiring an assassin to take out Ghost, all goes wrong, Kanan realizes that he needs to come up with another strategy. A plan to get to the same goal as the first one, which is to take back the drug business, but in an entirely different way, a way that is way more strategic. When Kanan gets out of jail, he immediately tells Sean, his son, who also works for Ghost, or his Uncle G, to not tell anyone that he is out of jail yet. This gives him time to add flesh to his plan, gather more data and information, and identify a weakness. So as to no surprise, when he finally reveals to Ghost and Tommy that he is out of jail, he positions himself in a way where he looks like he wants to work with them again, not from a standpoint of taking over. Now, this obviously seems like common sense, and it wouldn't have made any sense for Kanan to come out all guns blazing from jail trying to take back the business. The best way for him was to conceal his true intentions and work his way from the inside. Which leads us to the 31st strategy of war: destroy from within, the inner front strategy. A war can only really be fought against an enemy who shows himself. By infiltrating your opponent's ranks, working from within to bring them down, you give them nothing to see or react against. The ultimate advantage. From within, you also learn their weaknesses and open the possibilities of sowing internal dissension. So hide your hostile intentions. To take something you want, don't fight those who have it, but rather join them. Then either slowly make it your own or wait for the moment to stage a takeover. No structure can stand for long from when it rots within. The basic principle here is that it's easy to topple a structure, a castle, or more importantly, an organization from the inside out. When something begins to rot or fall apart from within, it collapses of its own weight. A far better way to bring it down than just by ramming yourself against the walls. This strategy that Kanan uses definitely wins over Tommy, who tells Kanan a lot more about the business than he really should. He identified Tommy as a weak point in the organisation, and if Kanan could manipulate him and get information out of him, it would be a lot easier for him to take over the organisation and territory. He started working from the inside and concealing his intentions. An example of this is when Tommy and Kanan had a shootout with the leader of the RSK gang, Q-Dubs. When Kanan made the move to shoot Q-Dubs, it wasn't from a standpoint of helping and protecting the organisation, even though that's what he convinced Tommy and Ghost that he was. The true standpoint was for him to cause chaos in Tommy's and Ghost's organisation by eliminating a key position and territory, which his intent was to take over the RSK territory from the beginning. This was a strategy of using a smokescreen to disguise his actions. It was a way of deceiving Tommy and Ghost. Now, deception is a great strategy to use, but in order to use it, it requires a screen of smoke to distract people's attention from your real purpose. The whole shooting and killing of Q-Dubs was just a smoke screen. Kanan manipulatively created a situation where it would be best for Ghost and Tommy to use him to clean up the RSKs and take over their territory. The shooting was all just a smoke screen, and Kanan uses that smoke to build more trust with Tommy and Ghost, as he claims he did it for them. Which leads into law 14 of power: pose as a friend but work as a spy. Knowing your rival is critical. Use spies to gather valuable information that will keep you a step ahead. Better still, play the spy yourself. In polite social encounters, learn to probe, ask indirect questions to get people to reveal their weaknesses and intentions. There is no occasion that there isn't an opportunity for artful spying. Now, I don't even need to say this, but Kanan was a master at getting out information from people such as Sean and Tommy, and it never was in an interrogation type of way. Well, not all the time, but majority of the time he did it in a way where it was very subtle. Asking Tommy subtle indirect questions allowed him to gather important information. He had to do this in order to not arouse suspicion and again to conceal his true intentions. By probing Tommy and Ghost, he found out secrets and their intentions without arousing any suspicion. Again, Kanan wasn't stupid. He had to wait and gather information to see how the organisation worked, and as much as he would have liked to just kill Ghost for sending him to jail, he wanted to take back the business first. Imagine how hard it must have been to play best friends with the person that sent you to jail. Kanan had to put all his emotions aside in order to achieve the first goal, which was to take back the drug business. He puts his emotions aside and puts that smile and mask on his face in order to truly disguise his true intentions. When something begins to rot or fall apart from within, again it collapses on its own weight. How Kanan used this strategy is by spreading internal dissension and division by installing doubt into everyone in Tommy and Ghost's organisation. Even though the strategy didn't come full circle due to Ghost killing everyone, the ultimate strategy is to seem to stay on the enemy's side. From there, you can gather valuable information, weaknesses to attack, and incriminating evidence. Here, subtle maneuvers like Kanan used, like passing along information and steering your opponent into a self-destructive policy, can have large effects. And these effects had much more of an impact on the organisation than he could have ever done from the outside. His enemy's powers became his weapons that he can use against it. And again, because he was on the inside, he got a better idea of when to act. And that was the time when the organisation was weakening. He knew Tommy and Ghost promised Ruiz a higher position in the organisation, and they promised Ruiz that he can meet with Lobos. But when Kanan informs Ruiz that the meeting was happening soon and Ruiz wasn't invited, Kanan exploits his opportunity and continues to install doubt and diversion within the organization, which eventually convinces Ruiz to commit to the revolt in the organization, and also allows him to convince Vladimir the Serbian to also commit to the revolt. Now, you can get onto Kanan for being a snake, but remember, the person Kanan is snaking is the exact same person who snaked him and sent him to jail. So the question is, does that give Kanan the right to snake Ghost back? Right, I just dropped some philosophical, ethical bars right there, but let me know what you think. And the last point I'm going to make is how Ghost saw all through this bullshit, and most importantly, how you as an entrepreneur can identify if someone like Kanan is in your organization. And this is with the law of intense realism, seeing things for what they are. Reality can be rather harsh, your days are numbered, and it takes constant effort to carve a place for yourself in this ruthlessly competitive world. And because of this, people can be treacherous, they can bring endless battles into your life, but your task is to resist the temptation to wish it was all different. Instead, what you must fiercely do is accept these circumstances and even embrace them. By focusing your attention on what is going on around you, you will gain a sharp appreciation for what makes some people advance and other people fall behind. By seeing through people's manipulations, you can turn them around. The firmer you grasp on reality, the more power you will have to alter it for your purposes. Regardless of what you say about him, Ghost is super sharp. It most likely was from the case of him having to survive in such intense environments, such as the Hood. People sometimes think that this is a bad thing, but in reality, the skills you learn in these types of environments can't be taught in a classroom. The point is just not about being delusional, and this ability is called having the hustler's eye. The ability to see situations and people for as they are, and having the hustler's eye will give you great power beyond belief. It was all good for Kanan working from the inside, but if Ghost was blinded by his emotion all the time, he wouldn't be able to spot Kanan's manipulation strategies. The greatest danger people face in the streets are not necessarily the police or some rival of the streets, it's the mind going soft. And by taking your eye off the ball and losing grip on reality, this is essentially putting yourself in a position to get killed. Now, as you all well know, Kanan met his demise in a way where he got outsmarted. Surprisingly, not even by Ghost, he took his eye off the ball when it came to Tariq. But we can't forget that Ghost nearly killed Kanan in the first place first. The reason being, in my opinion, Ghost had a sharper hustler's eye. Think of reality in the following terms, that people around you are generally mysterious. You are never quite sure about their intentions. They present an appearance that is often deceptive. Their manipulative actions don't match their loft words or promises. All this can be confusing, but by seeing people as they are instead of what you think they should be allows you to get a greater sense of their motives and what they really want. That's exactly how Ghost saw through Kanan's manipulations, and that is why Ghost came out on top, because of his hustler's eye. It allowed him to pierce through the bullshit facade people present to the world and see their true character, and your actions in life will be so much more effective with this knowledge. And that's what I'm going to finish the video on. Now, before people go crazy in the comments saying, oh, you're basically teaching us entrepreneurs to be snakes, no, I'm not. The reason I highlight and study these laws and strategies myself is mainly to protect myself from them. Breaking down how Kanan swindled through the organization allows you to spot people like that in your own organization. But also remember, the ultimate goal of war is about crushing your competition with the minimal loss to your army. So it all comes down to how you are as a person. Are you a person that's ultimately motivated by getting to their goal, regardless of the outcome? Or do you play it a lot more strategic? That all comes down to your personal preference and your personality. These are just some of the strategies that you can either use or, most importantly, protect yourself from. And I'll be making a video about how to sharpen your hustler's eye soon and be able to see through all the bullshit. I do touch on it on the Ghost video, so if you haven't watched that, make sure you check that out. But in the meantime, I really hope you enjoyed this video. Again, let me know in the comment section if I should continue this series. Comment what was your favourite part about the video, and most importantly, what do you want to see next. Now, if this is your first time visiting the channel, welcome to the channel, and to all our loyal subscribers, we are glad you are here. We aim to produce at least 2 videos every single week, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any golden knowledge. And make sure, if you haven't, go watch the Ghost video. And in the meantime, make sure you leave a like and comment what you want to see next. I'll see you soon.